The famous saying, "Where the Mongol horse passes, no grass grows," is an eloquent description of the extraordinary conquests that expanded the frontiers of the world's largest nomadic empire. In the late 12th and early 13th centuries, prior to its formation as an empire, Mongolia was a collection of small tribes, frequently engaged in brutal internal warfare, raiding, and mutual destruction due to class divisions. In this context, Temujin, later Genghis Khan, the eldest son of a tribal chief of the Khians, rose up to undertake the mission of uniting the tribes. In 1190, Temujin allied with Togrul, chief of the Karite tribe, and Jamuka, chief of the Jadaran tribe, to launch an attack on the Merkit tribe to rescue his wife. From there, the campaign to consolidate the Mongol tribes began. However, later conflicts over territorial division led to both Togrul and Jamuka being defeated by Temujin. In 1206, upon completing the unification, the Mongol chieftains proclaimed Temujin as Great Khan, taking the title Genghis Khan, meaning ruler of the whole world. This event ushered in an era of world-shaking conquest across the Eurasian continent. The Mongol Empire's initial campaign involved subjugating the Western Xia and Siberia. In 1207, Genghis Khan and his son Jochi marched against these regions. By 1209, both states submitted to the Mongol forces. In reality, the attack on Western Xia served only as a springboard for the eventual invasion of the Jin dynasty. In March 1211, 100,000 Mongol troops breached the Great Wall of the Jin, with Genghis Khan becoming the first Mongol leader to overcome this defensive line. The Jin forces defending the Great Wall numbered nearly 1 million soldiers under the command of Duji Sejong, heavily outnumbering the 100,000 Mongols. However, Genghis Khan identified a weak point in the Jin defense at Wusha Fortress. From Wusha, the Mongols could advance directly through the Kyacho Wild Fox Ridge and bypass the Kinjuyong Pass to strike directly at the Jin capital. Genghis Khan split his forces into two armies, one led by his third son, Ogadai, looped around to attack Jijing, to block Jin reinforcements. The main army, led by Genghis Khan himself, assaulted Wusha Fortress. After 3 months of battle, March to June, Wusha Fortress fell and the Mongols captured Wuyue Camp. In July, the Mongol army advanced into Wild Fox Ridge. Huanyan Chengyu, taking command of the Jin forces, retreated to Wild Fox Ridge to use the challenging terrain to halt the Mongol cavalry. Despite this, the Mongol general, Mukhali, proposed a surprise attack, leading a smaller detachment through the Huan-er-Zui route. Inspired by Mukhali's promise of fighting to the death, the Mongol forces ignored the hilly terrain and launched a direct assault on the Jin encampment. The Jin army was taken by surprise and swiftly routed, suffering losses of up to 300,000 soldiers, over 100 miles. By August, virtually the entire main force of the Great Jin was annihilated. Huanyan Chengyu fled to Qihe Fortress, but was eliminated by the Mongols in October. In just one decisive campaign, the military strength accumulated over a century by the Jin dynasty was completely shattered. Genghis Khan occupied and consolidated the Jin territory up to the Great Wall by 1233. Subsequently, the Mongol army captured the three major Jin capitals, north, west, and east, and over 90 fortified towns, pushing the Jin state to the brink of collapse. Following these three major battles, the Jin Emperor, Huanyan Yongji, was assassinated in Cheongdu by his own general, Hu Shahu, who then enthroned Huanyan Shun, known as Chao Emperor Xuanzong of Jin. Despite numerous peace overtures, the Jin were continuously attacked by the Mongols in 1214 and 1215, forcing them to relocate their capital to Bianjing. In Chao, using the pretext of aiding the Karluks, Genghis Khan dispatched 30,000 Mongol cavalry to attack Western Liao, quickly eliminating Kuchlug. This expanded the Mongol territory southwest, bringing them adjacent to the West Khwarezmian Empire, ruled by Shah Ala ad-Din Muhammad. Initially, Genghis Khan sought a peaceful arrangement for trade, sending a caravan of 500 merchants and camels to Khwarezm. However, the envoy was stopped at the city of Otrar on suspicion of espionage, arrested, and then beheaded. Infuriated, Genghis Khan mobilized 200,000 troops for revenge, crossing the Tian Shan Mountains and entering the Shah's empire in 1229. After a 5-month siege, Otrar fell. The Mongols then successively captured Khwarezm's main cities, including Bukhara, Samarkand, and Balkh, forcing Emperor Muhammad II into continuous retreat. By 1220, the Shah died, and the Khwarezmian Empire collapsed. Genghis Khan then gathered his forces in Persia and Armenia to return to Mongolia, but split his army into 2 contingents for further conquest. One column, led by Genghis Khan, swept into Shiman, Afghanistan, and fought northern India. The other, commanded by Subutai, advanced into Kievan Rus, pushing deep into Armenia and Azerbaijan to conquer Europe. The Mongols systematically devastated Georgia and the Genoese colonies, advanced close to the Shan Black Sea, and forced Kievan Rus into submission by 1223. Upon his return, Genghis Khan turned his attention back to Western Xia because they had refused to participate in the Khwarezm campaign and attempted to ally with the Jin and the Southern Song against the Mongols. In 1226, citing the betrayal of the Western Xia Emperor, Xuanzong, Genghis Khan and Subutai jointly commanded forces from the east and west, quickly capturing key strongholds with minimal resistance. Facing this dire situation in Yinchuan, Emperor Xuanzong died from distress. His nephew, Prince Li Xian, succeeded him, known as the last ruler of Western Xia. In November, the Mongols crossed the Helen Mountains and besieged Lingwu. They subsequently annihilated 300,000 Western Xia reinforcement troops at the Somme Yellow River battle, leaving the Mongols only 30 kilometers from Yinchuan. The Mongol army reached Yinchuan in 1227, besieged the city, and launched numerous attacks on the Jin state to prevent them from reinforcing Western Xia. In March and April, the Mongols purged all Western Xia strongholds, confining the last ruler to Zhongxing Prefecture. However, just one day before the last ruler's surrender, Genghis Khan died suddenly. The Mongols concealed his death until they could behead the last ruler and massacre the entire population of the city as a funerary sacrifice to Genghis Khan. Before his death, Genghis Khan had meticulously outlined the strategy to borrow the Southern Song's route to destroy the Jin exploiting the conflict between the two to achieve the unification of China. Following Genghis Khan's death, his third son, Ögedei, succeeded him. In 1230, the Mongols launched a three-pronged invasion of the Jin. Ögedei led the main, central route army across the Yellow River to strike Bianjing. Ochigin Nayan commanded the eastern route towards Jinan. Tolui led the Qiao western route from Hanzhong, borrowing the southern Song route along the Qiao Han River to attack Bianjing. In 1232, Tolui approached Bianjing. The Jin Emperor, Aizong, dispatched a large army under Khan Huanyan Haida to block him at Chengdengzhou. Tolui swiftly crushed this elite force. Huanyan Haida died in battle, and the Mongols resumed the siege of Bianjing. However, Tolui fell severely ill and died in September. Emperor Aizong sued for peace but then executed the Mongol envoy, leading to the renewed siege of Bianjing. By late, Emperor Aizong fled south to Conquests. The defending general of Bianjing, Kui Li, surrendered to the Mongols. Pursued by the Mongol general, Shi Tianze, Emperor Aizong fled to Kaizhou, where he was besieged by a joint Mongol Southern Song force. By early 1234, Kaizhou was on the verge of collapse. Emperor Aizong committed suicide within the city walls, and the Jin dynasty was extinguished. As for the Southern Song, after jointly defeating the Jin, they immediately occupied the Hua three former capitals, Luoyang, Chang'an, and Bianjing, and killed the Mongol envoy. This joint alliance instantly dissolved, leading to 40 years of continuous warfare between the Mongols and the Southern Song. Concurrently, Mongol campaigns had reached Europe. Ögedei ordered Ho Batu Khan and Omo Subutai to invade the vast lands of Rus, modern Russia, from Walk 5, forcing Rus's submission before advancing into Central Europe. Swiftly, Hungary, Bohemia, Austria, Croatia, and Bulgaria were all invaded. The Mongol armies only retreated when Ögedei Khan died in 1241. This event saved countries like France, Germany, Italy, and Spain from being trampled by the Mongol cavalry. Due to the subsequent struggle for the throne, the conquest of Europe and Korea was postponed until 1251, when Great Khan Mongke formally succeeded. Mongke continued the attack on Korea, forcing King Gojong to surrender. To finally resolve the Southern Song conflict, in 1253, Mongke sent Kublai Khan, Genghis Khan's grandson, to attack Dali as a flanking maneuver against the Song. Duan Xingji, the king of Dali, surrendered himself, and the Mongol army plundered the region. Having secured Dali, Mongke planned to conquer Dai Viet, Vietnam, to create a pincer movement to surround the Southern Song. Initially, Mongke sent envoys to Dai Viet requesting south passage to attack the Song. However, the Huang Tran kings resolutely refused and imprisoned the envoys. In Kual Ku 58, Uriang Kadai and his son, Aju, led 30,000 Mongol troops alongside 15,000 Dali troops in the first invasion of Vietnam. King Tran Thai Tung and Crown Prince Tran Huang personally led the defense at Bin Le Nguyen, but due to the overwhelming Mongol numbers, the Dai Viet forces had to retreat to Chaozhou, Phu Lo. The Mongols swiftly pursued and occupied the capital, Thang Long, Hanoi. However, the Tran dynasty implemented the scorched earth strategy, evacuating all inhabitants and assets, quickly leaving the Mongol army short of supplies. Just 10 days later, the Tran king and crown prince launched a counterattack against the weakened Mongols. The Mongols immediately abandoned Thang Long and retreated, using the same path along the Red River. The entire First War lasted only half a month. The Mongols suffered heavy losses, losing about 4/5 of their army, severely impacting the planned invasions of the southern Song. Meanwhile, Mengke's forces were fiercely besieging Diaoyu Fortress in their campaign against the southern Song. But in the midst of the siege, Mengke died in August 1259. Despite Mengke's death, Kublai Khan continued the attack south of the Yangtze River until he received news that his younger brother, Arik Bokeh, had proclaimed himself Great Khan. Kublai immediately retreated. In 1260, Kublai returned, triggering a bloody civil war for the title of Great Khan against Arik Bokeh. Concurrently, in Central Asia, their brother Hulegu abstained from the civil war and pushed for conquest. From 1255 to 1257, the Mongols devastated the entire Islamic world, culminating in the destruction of Baghdad in 1258. In 1260, Hulegu further conquered Syria, forcing the center of Islamic power to shift to Cairo, Egypt, ruled by the Mamluks. Crucial Islamic strongholds like Aleppo, Damascus, Nablus, and Gaza fell sequentially to the Mongols. The last hope for the Islamic world was Egypt, governed by the Mamluk Sultan, Qutuz. The Mongol and Egyptian armies clashed at the decisive Battle of Ain Jalut. Using a crescent-shaped tactic, the Egyptian army defeated and beheaded the Mongol general, Kitbuka. Hulegu's plan to conquer the Islamic world was halted, and he was forced to retreat. In 1264, Arik Bokeh surrendered, and Kublai Khan became the unified Great Khan. However, in 1271, Kublai changed the empire's name from Great Mongolia to Great Yuan, adopting the title Emperor Shizu of Yuan. This move caused deep internal dissent and became the primary reason for the Great Mongol nation to fragment into 4 separate khanates. Between 1267 to 1273, after a long siege, the Mongol forces captured Xiangyang and Fancheng, opening the door for the sweeping invasion of the southern Song. In Hwasong 1279, Emperor Tang Gong of Song surrendered, and subsequent isolated uprisings were suppressed, leading to the definitive collapse of the Southern Song dynasty. All of China fell under the rule of the Kazhou Yuan dynasty. Subsequently, in 1274 and 12, the Yuan dynasty built additional fleets to invade Japan. In both instances, the Mongols successfully landed at Hakata Bay and nearly broke the Japanese defense. However, both invasions were struck by sudden typhoons, causing massive damage to the Mongol navy. Kublai Khan was forced to retreat and abandoned the ambition to conquer Japan, believing the country was protected by divine powers. Later, in 1285, the Mongol Yuan army launched the second invasion of Vietnam. The Yuan forces attacked in a pincer movement. Troops poured down from the north, supported by a naval force from the Champa front in the south. Similar to the first invasion, the Yuan swiftly occupied the capital, Thanglang, and the Tran court retreated along the Red River to Cha, Thien Trung, and Trung In. From the south, Sogetu easily defeated the Dai Viet forces in the Quam, Nge An Than Hoa region. Pushed from both sides, the Tran kings had to retreat to the Quang Ning coastal region for refuge. The Yuan army again suffered from supply shortages and lacked civilian plunder, causing morale to drop. 2 months later, the Tran forces counterattacked along the Red River, securing victories all the way to Thanglang, forcing the Yuan to retreat. In 1288, the Yuan launched the third invasion, with 3 columns from Yunnan, Guangxi, and a naval force from Guangdong. The Yuan supply fleet was struck by a Hua typhoon and subsequently raided by Matran Khan Du at Mont Vendôme, severely worsening the already critical supply situation for the land forces. After occupying Thanglang for the third time, about 4 months, the Yuan army was forced to retreat. On their way back, the retreating columns were ambushed and annihilated. Following Quan's 3 devastating defeats, the Yuan completely abandoned the intent to conquer Vietnam. Other invasions into India, Myanmar, Champa, and Java continued until Lhasa Kublai Khan's death in 1294, but all of them were not unsuccessful. Starting in 1295, when Kublai Khan's grandson, Temur Khan, Emperor Chengzong of Yuan, succeeded, the Mongol Empire plunged into renewed civil war and religious conflicts. The Great Mongol Yuan Empire thus only survived until before being replaced by the Ming dynasty.